sorry, we're back. We had a bit of a technical glitch. Today, like I said, we have a fellow South African and a very good friend of mine, Hanneli Rupert, coming on our daily, which is super exciting. Hanneli will discuss a number of her businesses. Ooh, she's in. And also the charity initiatives that she's involved with, which are absolutely incredible. So let me just bring her in. Ooh. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Let me put my volume up. There we go.
Well, Hans, thank you for taking the time to chat to us. For all the LBD family, could you please introduce yourself?
So I caught the tail end of your introduction. Thank you so much. I'm Hanneli. I am a close friend of Marina's, and I'm also the founder of a multi-brand store called Marchants, where we specialize in stocking the top African designers who make their production entirely on the continent. I also started a brand, and we do leather goods, accessories, homeware. It's called Okapi, and similarly, we make everything in Africa, majority in South Africa, with a focus on sustainability. More recently, I've been working on projects in the fine arts and sort of similarly sustainability, but like social impact world. And
I don't think you need to carry on going on. I mean, it all sounds so impressive so far. I mean, for any of you that have been to Marchants, it is one of those stores where you look around and you are just like, wow. It is created so beautifully. And also, it's the first concept store in Africa, Pan-African concept store, right, Hanneli?
I mean, we didn't give it that sort of lordy title, but other people have said that. And definitely when I started it was 2010. And so it was really at the apex of the world focusing on African design. And we were just lucky to be a part of that.
No, it's absolutely incredible. And even the store has some history to it, doesn't it?
So the building itself is a real gem. It's actually, it was one of these buildings that was fabricated it was actually fabricated in Edinburgh, but they used to be fabricated around the world. Another place they used to do was Amsterdam. And then they would order them off a catalogue, and then they were sort of prefab and then erected on the front of these buildings around the world. You see quite a lot of them in Australia as well.
That's so cool. I never knew that. And going on to Okapi, are you wearing Okapi earrings by any chance?
I am actually. I put them on
beautiful.
for the live.
Ooh, what are those you're wearing?
So these are part of our relatively new fine jewelry collection, but they're Springbok horn, which is the Okapi signature, and it was actually the first sort of emblematic emblem of Okapi that I designed, and because I'm really inspired by organic material, and you find a lot of that in the history of sort of African design and the design that I'm interested in. But I wanted to be able to create something that had a net positive effect. And so I looked at waste product and byproduct, and I started getting these Springbok horns from butcheries and working with women from disadvantaged communities to clean up. There's a lot of hand work involved and hand labor. And so initially we put them as sort of bag charms and in the handles of the bags. But there was such a demand for them as a kind of talisman that we now have them in fine jewelry as well.
No, they're beautiful. So for everyone that hasn't seen them, it's amazing. And actually the Okapi website is pretty sick. I've been investigating it all day today. And going into the ostrich skins with your handbags, Hanneli, could you go into detail? Because sustainability, like you said, as you came in, is a core to your business. So how do you manage traceability with Okapi?
Well, so the ostrich industry is something that dates back a really long time in South Africa. And so I think it's interesting even to talk about how it started. So there was a boat of refugees during World War I who were actually, they kind of paid, and they were destined for New York, where their family had gone ahead of them. And by some fluke, they ended up in Cape Town and decided to stay. And they went inland and ended up in the town of Oudtshoorn. And together they worked with the Afrikaans, pre-existing sort of Afrikaans community there, and started to raise and farm ostrich. And as you may know, like this was the kind of era when ostrich feathers first became popular, and there was an ostrich boom, or ostrich feather boom. And at one point this was trading sort of like the third highest thing trading, phone's falling, for South Africa after gold and diamonds. And so there are these incredible sort of ostrich palaces built from the riches of the ostrich feathers in this town. And over time, it became the real, I guess, lifeblood for this entire area. And so it employs a huge number of people, from the original farmers now to like Zulu grannies who raise the little ostriches, because it all has to be done by hand. It's incredibly labor intensive. When you dry the ostrich feathers, it's done by hand, shaken out like individually. Wow. And there's a huge trickle down. And I think key for me and a lot of our clientele is the fact that it is actually a byproduct of the food industry, because obviously ostrich meat is one of the leanest and most sustainable, in that it takes up the least, consumes the least water sort of meats. And so I love working with it. Every part of the ostrich is used, from the feathers to the sinews, which are used in operations on animals by vets, the skin, obviously, and the meat.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I brought one of my ostrich feathers accessories down here, but I have no idea where I placed it. But they are the best present to give people, because they are so beautiful. And like you said, the quality is incredible.
I've got my bag here.
Oh, yay. And the colors, she has like a rainbow assortment of colors, and they are just like divine. Oh, I love it. And then, so Hanneli, I'm quite interested. Where did you get the name Okapi?
So the name, it's actually an animal. So they're basically impossible to see in the wild, unless you're fortunate enough to go to places like Virunga and really track them out. But even then, it's incredibly difficult, because they're very shy. There are some in the London Zoo, which is worth a visit. But they're an antelope from Central Africa, and they look almost like an amalgamation between a kind of zebra and a type, maybe a giraffe, and like a few different antelope. And I really loved the sort of nickname which was given to it, which is the African unicorn, because of how like hard they are to come across and elusive and kind of magical looking. And also because I'd been inspired by this, I guess, sort of primordial era of exploration and nature, and really the riches of the African landscape and all its organic wonders, and that's really spoke to me. And then I think there's also this illusion that Africa can't create luxury, and so this sort of African unicorn embodied what I wanted to create with Okapi.
Thank you. What a brilliant answer. Beautiful. I'm definitely going to visit the London Zoo when I can to see an Okapi, because I've never seen one myself. And Hans, you have built successful businesses, and I would just love to have some insight to what would be your advice on how to scale and market a brand.
I mean, first of all, it really depends on the brand itself. So knowing your customer. In my case, with my higher price point items, there's a lot more care involved in, communicating directly one-on-one. We do a lot of bespoke in-store private events, but that's a very different, brand proposal to if you're selling Coca-Cola. So,
cool.
But I guess what I would say on both accounts is that authenticity, don't patronize the people you're speaking to, because they probably know more than you do. And I'm also speaking from what I look for when I'm buying brands into merchants.
Thanks. And then, so Hans, as well as your brands that we just discussed, you just created the most incredible prize, the Social Impact Prize in South Africa. I really recommend, after this, anyone that's listening, please check it out, because it is incredible. So without further ado, Hans, will you please tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so if anyone is interested, we have a separate Instagram page, which is Social Impact Arts Prize. And I guess I came from, so I didn't mention this earlier, I came from a fine arts background, and I come from a family of artists and performers and people in the creative sector. And after studying, I did painting. I've been doing merchants in Okapi for 10 years, and it's been a long time that I wanted to get back into really a more pure fine arts kind of or like role. And I've been thinking about doing something in this space with sort of social impact, so somewhat similar to what I'm doing with the brand. In, you know, I'm focused specifically on job creation and telling stories through Okapi, but I thought that could be done with art as well. And I was inspired specifically in this case by land site art and big sort of art projects that you mostly see, or I guess they emerged mostly in the United States. And because we have such incredible topography in South Africa and such a need for work, that sort of got me thinking about it. And it's evolved quite a lot from there. But how it really works is that we work with, it's open call competition, and we appeal to anyone. It is an arts prize, but what we've seen a lot of is architects working with artists, engineers with you know, really poets and creatives coming together, and I really like that intersection with, you know, different sort of thinkers not being siloed into their practice. And so then we had over 100 entries, and our judging panel narrowed that down to 6 winning finalists. And then they sort of visited the site. It's all taking place in this town of Graaff-Reinet, which is in the semi-desert sort of area in South Africa, and they got further inspired by that. And then their sort of exhibitions, which were proposals for the residency project, or the essential end artwork they wanted to create, were put on exhibition in our museum in Stellenbosch, where the judges came and they chose the winners from this. Like it actually ended up being, it was all audited, and the judges chose 2 who came in neck and neck exactly at the same sort of crazy, because it was all done with like hundreds of points. And
oh wow, well, who were the joint winners?
So the one project, it's going to have to be a little bit delayed, because it's called When Tears Become Rain, and it's a mass choir performance, which obviously, given the present state of affairs, is being reimagined, and it's still going about, but it's slightly delayed. And then obviously the residency can't take place. They've gotten off to a slow start. And then the other winner is called Hello Volk, and so that is, in Afrikaans, it means high cloud. And what it is a virtual and physical cloud. So it acts as a cloud, creating shelter and shade for the people of the community of Graaff-Reinet, and at the same time emits like a cloud, as in a Wi-Fi cloud with free data.
Oh my God. That is, oh my word, I never knew that. That is absolutely like mind-blowing. I feel like I think we need that everywhere, to be honest with you. Every community needs that. And so going on to the prize, what makes it so different to other art prizes, Hanneli?
I mean, there's so many different art prizes in the world. I'm only starting to scratch the surface and seeing what people are doing and how people are thinking. I think it's very much from I guess, based in museum practice and looking at things that are not purely in the fine arts. So it's not, just like as through the performance When Tears Become Rain won, you know, it's not something that you can acquire through a fair. And I'm quite happy with that, because it is about trying to create measurable social impact. And so that makes it quite different. But I think the other thing that sets it apart is that we didn't put strict parameters around it. So we're calling it a prize, but it's really actually a residency. And so the judging panel that we have are very involved, and they're all experts in what they do, and they come from quite different fields, not purely sort of museums or fine art. We've got people who come from architecture and tree replantation, and really more sort of purely non-profit, and they're acting really as not only as judges, but also as a sort of advisory board, but working closely with the winners so that we can really see that when they do their residency, this actually does become sustainable and can go on into the future. So we gave a special recognition award to one of our entrants, which was called Planted. So it's like plant education. And what they want to do is build a landscape garden, but it'll be sort of serviced by the community, and particularly by elders in the community who are experts on traditional plants and traditional healing. And so it's trying to keep that knowledge alive, but then also getting it registered officially so that they can get, money back from it, and then also getting them registered officially so that they can, further on go and work with, whether it's hotel groups or individuals consulting on how you can do this in your own garden.
Grafenbrunner sounds like it's going to become the most I haven't been there, so it probably is magical now, but I feel like in the next 5 years, it's going to be like a blossoming place that everyone's going to want to be. It sounds absolutely remarkable, Hanneli. Well done on that, honestly. I mean, I am just so...
I'd love to go there together. You've got to come.
I know, I am. As soon as I'm allowed back in South Africa, I am there. And talking about South Africa, where all my wardrobe is at the moment, my summer wardrobe, and I can't wait to hack into your wardrobe, Hanneli, and borrow some things. Could you please provide LBD with your one wardrobe tip? Because you are a fashionista who I know invests very well in clothes, no fast fashion. So I'd love to hear what your wardrobe tip is.
I mean, I can say I'm not sure I'm an expert at any of this. I'm fairly certain I'm not. But I'm definitely trying to downscale. So, I mean, and during the lockdown, I was actually in Grafenbrunner for the full 3 months. And I went there with 5 days of clothing and realized that after, 3 months, I could survive just fine. And so less is more. And it saves me so much time. So I've done a big kind of clear out now. And I think finding those good quality staple items in your wardrobe that things that suit you, so you don't have to sort of think, constantly, and also and it teaches you to be selective and to appreciate things more.
Completely. And what would you say are your top 3 staple items that you can't live without?
Because I feel quite sentimentally about things, and so I like jewelry, and I think things that come into contact with your body the whole time. So definitely. And I think that's also why I'm attracted to doing things like accessories and bags, and it's very tactile. So I do feel sentimental about items. I always wear, certain stacking rings and earrings. And it's a lot more about what they mean than the sort of fashionable quality of them.
Completely.
But with the clothes that I'm wearing, I'm quite fussy similarly about the material. I like soft things.
I feel you. I mean, I've literally been a loungewear all of isolation. But on that note, Hans, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Marina. I've been playing with the app today. It's so amazing. But better.
Yeah. But thank you so much. And like I said before, you're a true inspiration. And as a great friend of yours, I'm so proud. And see you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.